PCers, we're so excited to host this live today. I am just hopping on here really quick to notify you so that you guys can get ready. We're going to start the live at 8 o'clock Mountain Time this morning, so in 2 minutes. So hopefully you're ready with your questions for Amit this morning. He is a PC patient, so we're really excited to have him come on and answer some of your questions. So yeah, we will start in about a minute, so just hold on tight. Okay, so we have our visitors with us now. So I'll just give an introduction to this live. So welcome everyone. We're really excited to host this live today. We did one about a month ago and it was a huge success and we were able to answer a lot of your questions. So hopefully that's the same for today. We want to answer as many questions as you guys have. So I want to thank you all for participating in PC Awareness Month. That was a huge success as well. Thank you for everyone who participated, sent it in videos and stories. Yeah, just shared your own stories and donated to help our cause. So yeah, we had a Instagram live last month with our executive director, Janice. And so we decided that we wanted to do another one to answer some more of your questions. And we have a patient perspective this time during this live. So I want to introduce our PC project intern, Arohi, really quick, who will be co-hosting this live with me.
Hi everyone, I'm Arohi. I'm so excited to be here. Me and Kara hosted the last live and it was a lot of fun, so we're back for even more fun this time. I've been at PC since the beginning of June and I'm doing some marketing and project management for them and it's been really fun. And I love to be a part of the PC community and hear what everyone has to say about this really interesting and fascinating rare disease. And so with that, now I'd like to introduce our guest speaker for today, Amit. Amit is a technology professional with experience as an industry operator and a technology management consultant. In terms of his PC background, he's currently 45, but has had PC since he was a young child. So this condition was passed down from his mother's side of the family, and it wasn't until 3 years ago that his family and him became aware that there was a name for this disease and a nonprofit organization like PC that was there to advocate for it and work to address this rare disease. And Amit, we understand that it's really hard to talk about the fact that you have PC. Opening up is definitely not an easy conversation to have. So we really want to thank you for sharing your story with our community today and taking the time to answer some of our questions. With that being said, you've prepared to answer all of the questions about PC that we've given you and that the audience has given you. And if there are questions that Amit can't get to, we'll save them for another time. But if you have any questions throughout this live while we're talking, please enter them in the chat so that we can get to them. And with that, I want to go right into the first question. So the first question we have today is, as a person with PC, what does your day-to-day routine kind of look like? And do you have to make any sort of adjustments because you have PC? Or are there any particular symptoms that inhibit you from performing your daily activities?
Hey, good morning, everyone, actually. So nice to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on the PC Project's behalf. Yeah, when it comes to PC, because I've had it for almost all of my life, I've always had to adjust at a different age, right? So as a younger kid, I always wanted to play sports, play tennis or play basketball. I've always had to limit myself in those. So you just have to adjust. But as a professional now, the answer is yes, right? In a professional setting, if I'm meeting clients or prospects, got to dress the part, right? Wear comfortable shoes or wear dress appropriate shoes. So I always pick the least comfortable shoes because it's the fancier ones, I guess. But then if I'm working remotely or from home, I'll wear slippers or flip-flops or comfortable shoes. I think that's kind of the biggest thing, is acknowledging what you're going to be doing for that day, dress appropriately, and then acknowledging that, if you're running and walking at different paces during the day, you just have to be mindful of it and just know where you're going each day. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but having it for almost 45 years, you kind of have to, it's kind of hardwired in.
Yeah, I'm sure that you've had a lot of, trial and error with things that work for you, things that don't. So thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. The next question I have is from one of our followers. They actually submitted this question, and they asked, is there a solution for dead skin on the foot? So we assume that this person is asking about, the painful calluses on the feet. So Amit, what do you do when battling this issue yourself?
Yeah, so there is no cure, right? There's therapeutics out there. There's a clinical trial actively going on. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But for someone like me that has the K16 subtype of this rare disease, it's on my feet, pervasively around all of the bottoms of my feet. And in those cases, it's maintenance, it's moisturizing, it's sounds kind of weird, but shaving the feet down, trimming it down so that it's manageable. But to that point, there's no cure at this point, and we hope there is. There are therapeutics that are being clinically trialed, but just maintenance every several weeks is how I operate each day, each.
Awesome. Yeah. And then the next question I have is, what is the worst or hardest thing about having PC for you?
The worst thing for me is that I've got two boys, right? They're 16 and 13. My 16-year-old is fine, doesn't have PC, but my younger one does. And knowing that what I have, I've given it to my son, and knowing that he's going to have to live through the challenges, the potential shame, the questions. That what bothers me the most, right? I mean, as a kid, I probably was just miserable after the day, running around and having the feet burn and just not being able to do the things that my cousins could do or my friends can do. But as an adult and a father, I think at this point it's sympathizing with my younger son and apologizing, right? I didn't mean to. I had no intent to do this to them, but we knew it was a risk when we were thinking about having kids, and unfortunately it was a 50-50 shot, and it worked in one case and it didn't in the other. So I think that's the biggest challenge for me, is knowing that my son has to endure some of this pain.
Yeah, I think that's very difficult, the genetic aspect, because again, like you said, it's a 50-50 chance, so you don't know what to expect. But I'm sure he's learned a lot from you and your experience that you've gone through.
Yeah.
My next question is also related to kind of like the whole topic of family and genetics. Does anyone besides your immediate family members, so your wife and your two kids, know that you have PC? And if yes, how did you approach having that conversation with them? If not, why do you not let others know about your PC?
So, yeah, good question. I would say that there are folks in my family, lineage, right? If we go up to grandparents and great-grandparents, there are several folks in the family that it's been passed down from generation to generation. So there's a sprinkling of cousins and uncles and aunts that have PC, which is interesting. I was talking to my dad yesterday. I'm actually at home visiting family. And I asked him hey, listen, I'd like a full list of all the people that you know in the family. And if they're not registered with the PC project, I want them to get that done, right? It's now a point in our lives where, we're a very analytical society. So as many data points we can have, as many mutations that we can identify, it's just going to help researchers and scientists. So the answer to your question is yes, I do. Most of my family does know. I would have said that the turning point of crossroads in my life was 3 years ago, actually, in this month. We didn't know what this was, right? We knew it was genetically passed, but we didn't have a name for it. And so my wife, who's a healthcare professional, and she was just determined to figure it out and figure out what the cause is, what it is, and learn more about it. And so she stumbled upon the PC project and said, oh my God, this is it. And so worked with the PC team to get the genetic testing and stuff. So most of my professional network doesn't know. It doesn't, from a professional, it doesn't like prevent me from doing my day-to-day job outside of travel and, you know, walking airports and all that stuff. But most of my coworkers don't know. And, you know, if it comes up in conversation, we commiserate on something, I'll share, but I'm not hesitant anymore because it does have a name. It does have a face, right?
Yes, and we're so grateful that your wife kind of helped you find PC Project and get that genetic testing so you can have some answers there. So yeah, my next question is you pretty much already answered it, but you can just elaborate a little bit more if you would like. But how did you find PC Project? And following up with that, have you always known you had PC? And how has PC Project helped you and your family?
Yeah, so, you know, when a kid growing up, we all we knew what this was. We knew some of us had it. We obviously, like I said before, we didn't have a name for it, and so we would go to podiatrist, and they would call it it's a flat feet, and if you just wear orthotics, it would be your thing to do, and that's going to resolve it. Obviously, that didn't work. There are other creams that people recommended. It was just wasn't there, and so as I mentioned, my wife is super inquisitive, and she was like, I need to figure this out. You know, she's a STEM kid, right? And so she went on different websites, American Medical Association, and public, journal medications and stuff. And so it just kind of went all around and found this place, looked at the research, looked at the registry information, and said, listen, she's like, I'm 99% sure this is it. So that's kind of how it all came about. And then met up with Janice about 3 years ago and just went through the process. Obviously, this was during the COVID pandemic time. And so obviously there's a lot of things that are shut down for obvious reasons. And so went through the process of genetic testing. It took a little bit of time at that point, but it was kind of a closure moment for all of us to say, all right, we figured this out. I do remember the follow-on question, but if you repeat it, I'll happy to answer it.
Yeah. Okay. So have you always known you had PC? And you pretty much answered that. You found PC Project 3 years ago. And then how has PC Project helped you and your family?
You know, like I think it's therapy for us, knowing that I do not wish this on anyone, right? It is there are obviously other rare diseases that's debilitating. This is just one of many. But it's just it's good to know that it's not just me, it's not just my family. And so what the PC Project has done in the community is it's therapy for us. It's if you know the phrase chicken soup for the soul, right? Be able to commiserate with others, share stories, share best practices on what works well, what doesn't work well. And, you know, it's that whole thing, knowledge is power. So it just empowers us to be smarter on our day-to-day, understand what clinical researchers and scientists are trying to do and just help each other out. So
yeah, we're very glad that you have that like outlet and all those resources because of PC and the PC world. And my next question again is back to the family topic because it's so important. You said that someone else in your family is PC, your younger son. So your younger son or anyone else in your family, how do you help them navigate any symptoms, shame, pain, etc.?
yeah, we take it from two approaches, right? One is a scientific approach, right? You know, we educate him and say, hey, this is a genetic thing. This is nothing that you did, right? Just to make sure that there's no sadness or depression, right? It's just something that your dad gave you, and it's unfortunate, just the reality of life. And we always put into perspective, right? This is relatively minor in the grand scheme of things, right? You have a good heart. You can do other things. You can do education focus. You'll be successful in life, right? And so we always have to coach it from that perspective. And then on the emotional side of the house, we just have open conversations. How are you feeling? Anything wrong? And we always gauge his activity levels, right? 13-year-old kid and a boy, he is running around as much as he wants to, and then limping at night, which is unfortunate. What we've tried to do our level best is just put him into activities that fit the profile for a rare disease. And so a good thing that we did with both kids actually was swimming, right? So swimming is something that you don't have to necessarily be in. It's not going to cause a lot of pain issues on the bottoms of your foot. Obviously, it's cause other problems because it's such a rigorous sport. So we got him into swimming for many years. It's also a good life lesson. And so we manage that. He's a great swimmer. He's trying to go for the basketball team this year. We are a little hesitant, but we're not going to limit him in any fashion. We told him that your boundaries, right? And so just be mindful of that. So I've kind of managed it with my little guy.
Awesome. I'm sure that you're, a huge help for him, just to be able to rely on. And I'm sure that your connection is, only grown stronger as well, since you guys, have PC in common. So I'm sure that's a very special thing.
Yeah. We, it's, you have different relationships with different. Oh, sorry, I think I was going to talk over you, unless you can hear me okay.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that, him and I have a special bond, right? You kind of have certain things with certain kids. And so my oldest son and I have certain things that we have in common, and that goes for my little guy as well.
Awesome. And the next question I have, there's like 3 parts to this question. So have you ever been in any clinical trials for PC before? And if so, what made you decide to participate in a clinical trial? And could you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So the answer is yes. When there was information out on the PC project website indicating that there is going to be a clinical trial, I signed up right away. I said I would like to be part of the group. And it was more going back to, I'm a lost cause, I guess, right? But I wanted to see if there's anything I can do for my kids or my lineage or my family. And so I said happy to be a test bed, poke and pry as I need to. So the answer is yes. And then I got accepted into the program, I want to say about a year ago, actually. And during that time, it was a double-blind study. And so I didn't know if I was getting the medication or the therapeutics. And so it was a 6-month trial. I saw some impact. Obviously, it didn't go away, but I did see the growth was slowing down. And so love it. And so and then what they ended up doing was say there's a continuation program. Would you like to be on for another 6 to 9 months? I said yes. I'm all in. And so that I think I heard recently that they've now extended the clinical trial inevitably until it goes into FDA approval. So I was one of the first folks or groups of folks in the trial and going throughout. On the question of why, obviously one was my little guy and just trying to help him and navigate life. But 2, being a technologist, right? 1 data point is not enough. 2 is okay. 3, it gets better and better. So as many people that can participate in these trials, get on the registry, I think it just really helps understand, the pros and cons of the therapeutics or whether other mutations are. So I'm so fully happy to support the organization in any capacity.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I'm glad that the clinical trials have helped. And I don't remember if you exactly mentioned this, but have you seen any results from the clinical trial yet? Or has it been more of a wait and see sort of thing now that you participated?
Yeah, no, good question. So I would say that the way I used to do or maintain my feet, I used to use a callus blade. And it sounds weird, and I apologize for it, but this is
all good.
It's a safe space, right?
Yes.
And so every 3 to 4 weeks, I would have to maintain my feet, right? Spend an hour trimming it down, shaving it down, because if it gets too thick, it starts to hurt a lot more. But the downside was once I shaved it, it was very sensitive, and so there was this, I guess, lack of a better word, sweet spot of 10 days in the middle where it was hurting in the beginning, it was hurting the end, but I'd have a 10 to 12 days of manageable pain. And so I would do that every month, all right? And it was like clockwork, and I would just have to go maintain my feet. That was pre-clinical trials. So as soon as I started the double-blind study, I started to log how often I would have to maintain my feet, and I would start to see the time frame expand. So instead of it being every 4 weeks, it would be 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5. And so what that was telling me, not knowing if I was on the placebo or not, it was telling me that I felt like I was on it. So it felt like the duration, it was slowing down the growth, which is great, right? Well, we would love to remove all the calluses, but that's just not possible with this cream. But if you think about that window, it's no longer 10 days. It's actually 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe 3.5. And so where it's more manageable is a longer period of time. And so that's just been super helpful for me. It's makes me happy that it's making a difference. So
awesome. I'm very glad to hear. And then our last question for today, I believe, is your family has been very supportive to PC Project, and we're so thankful that you guys found PC Project and have been utilizing all the resources and support here. What do you have to say to others out there with PC about how they can better understand it and help the cause?
Yeah, I think it's threefold, right? One is register with the PC Project, right? Get on the registry, get information, get the genetic testing done. Like I mentioned earlier, just be able to help researchers and scientists identify all the different potential mutations so they can help with the therapeutics around it. So I think that's one. Two, kind of leading into from one to two, is donations and fundraising in whatever fashion and form that you can. This is a nonprofit organization, right? And so there's a need for dollars to have these programs, to have research, to do awareness, brand and marketing. It's needed. So whatever people can contribute, that would be fantastic. And then I think three is saying it's okay, right? We have it, we live with it. It's unfortunate, but obviously coming out of a global pandemic, there are far worse things in the world that are happening in our society, and just understand that one, there's a community of folks who can help you out. There's two, there are pain management type things you can work through and try, socks and creams and sneakers and shoes to help with that. So I would just say be okay with what you have and just try to move forward. Manage as best as you can, keep an eye on it, maintain it as best you're able to do. Talk to healthcare professionals as you need to. And then just know that there's a community of folks like myself and others just sitting here waiting. If you have a question, let us know. We're here for each other.
That is such a good note to end on. Thank you so much, Amit, for your time today and for answering these questions. I think the PC community will really appreciate this patient perspective from you. So again, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I've got more time. If you've got other questions or anything, I'm an open book. So feel free to ask questions. If not, I'm going to take them offline as needed.
Awesome. I think that's all the questions that we had submitted. So yeah, thank you so much. And we'll reach out if anybody has any specific questions for you though in the future.
All right.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. And everyone that's on the live, please continue to follow any updates from us through our social media accounts. Hopefully we'll be having more lives in the future. So make sure to spread the word about PC to others, and always remember to donate to the PC cause as well. And then Amit, if you have any closing thoughts, you can feel free to share them. And if not, we'll just be signing off.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, folks.